Rodgers has reportedly been left waiting as the club are sitting on millions of pounds which could be used this summer. As always, we will discuss this in today's video whilst going over all the latest Celtic news from the last 24 hours. But first, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel for more Celtic content. Celtic are reportedly still pushing to sign Michel-Ange Balikwisha, but talks have yet to move forward. Scott Burns of Record Sport reports the Hoops remain interested in bringing the Royal Antwerp winger to Glasgow. Negotiations have been slow and there's still no agreement in place. Balikwisha's agent Jibril Rekab confirmed there hasn't been formal contact between the clubs. However, he did say the player would be open to the move if Celtic make a serious approach. Antwerp had initially asked for around £5.1 million, a figure believed to have held things up, but they're now reportedly willing to drop the price to about £4.6 million, which could help push a deal through. With his contract running down, Antwerp are under pressure to cash in. Celtic now have to decide whether to meet the revised fee or look elsewhere before the window closes. Burns said this: Celtic are still very much in the fight for Michel-Ange Balikwisha. The agent has said there hasn't been contact, but there have been discussions between the clubs. Antwerp also know the player wants to move to Scotland. It is now to see what is the best deal they can get for him as his contract runs down. There were reports that Celtic have had a £1.5 million bid for Danish winger Jakob Braham from Go Ahead Eagles turned down. Danish sources have dismissed that and claimed Celtic's interest hasn't been renewed. Burns concluded, Balikwisha's ability to play wide and bring speed into attack has made him a clear target. With Antwerp not wanting to lose him for nothing, they could now be more open to lowering the asking price. Celtic now have a decision to make: pay close to the revised fee or move on to other options. If they choose to go ahead, talks could progress quickly from here. With interest in Braham fading, Balikwisha remains the main focus for now, unless a new name enters the frame. Now for the main story. There's been plenty of talk that winning the league and qualifying for the Champions League will unlock the spending Celtic need this summer, but that plan leaves too many questions unanswered and plenty of risk. Celtic have known since around January that they were on course to win the league and would head into the summer playoff round, yet no serious incoming business has materialised. That means Celtic could go into two of their biggest games of the season, the Champions League playoff ties at the end of August, without a fully strengthened squad, despite having had months to prepare. If Celtic hold off on spending until qualification money arrives, they could head to Ibrox on the 31st of August with a squad weaker than the one that lost twice to Rangers last season. That's a major concern for Brendan Rodgers ahead of the first Glasgow derby of the campaign. To make matters worse, the second leg of the Champions League playoff takes place on either the 26th or 27th of August. Depending on when it's scheduled, Celtic could have as little as 4 days to complete key transfer business before the window slams shut at 7 p.m. on the 1st of September. Last summer saw Adam Idah, Arnie Engels and Austin Trusty arrive only in the final days. Celtic arguably overpaid, perhaps by a doubling of value compared to if they'd signed them earlier. That was the price of leaving business to the end. A repeat this summer carries similar risk. Champions League qualification is far from guaranteed. Celtic may be seeded for the playoff round, but going into those games with only 3 first-team wingers and no proper Kyogo replacement still shows poor planning, even if signings arrive in the coming weeks. Waiting on Champions League money to strengthen the squad is a big risk. If Celtic are not qualified, they could start the season short on quality. Even if they do, there's little time to get deals done, and that usually means overpaying. Going to Ibrox with a thin squad would leave Rodgers short of options and fans worried. Champions League qualification would help, but the planning needs to happen now. Celtic can't afford to wait until the final days of August to build the team for the biggest games of the season. Brendan Rodgers' current contract runs out at the end of this season. After guiding the club to the Champions League knockout stages and delivering another double, there's been little in the way of marquee signings to back him. Kyogo has been sold, while Nicholas Kuhn and Greg Taylor are both out the door. Yet there's been no clear reinvestment to reflect the effort he and the players put in last year. In other news, Dane Murray's Celtic story looked all but written a few years ago when injuries and a lack of game time pushed him out of the spotlight. Once tipped for big things after a handful of appearances under Ange Postecoglou, the young centre-back seemed destined to become another forgotten name from Lennox Town. But fast forward to 2025 and the 22-year-old is making a serious push to re-establish himself under Brendan Rodgers. Now bulked up and far more physically imposing, Murray has returned to the first-team picture and is grabbing his second chance with both hands. Rodgers appears to be an admirer of the youngster's qualities and had even planned to start him in the Glasgow derby at Celtic Park back in January, only for a thigh injury to rule him out and hand Mike Nawrocki the jersey instead. Last night in Como, despite a heavy defeat to Ajax, Murray was one of the few shining lights in green and white. His composed first-half display drew praise from supporters both in the ground and watching on TV. With Murray at the heart of the backline, Celtic looked more organised and were the better team for long spells before the break. Rodgers' men could easily have gone into the interval with a healthy lead had they made better use of their chances, but were ultimately punished for their wastefulness in front of goal. The second-half collapse followed after both Murray and Kieran Tierney were withdrawn at half-time, a telling reflection on the defender's influence. Still only 22, Murray offers Celtic a commanding presence at the back and appears comfortable in possession. His recent displays suggest he's shaking off the injury-prone tag and is ready to fight for a regular place. With numbers still short in central defence, particularly with doubts over squad depth heading into a long campaign, Rodgers could well look to the academy graduate to play a bigger role in the season ahead. The question now is whether Murray has done enough to earn a starting place alongside Cameron Carter-Vickers when Celtic raised the league flag against St Mirren at Celtic Park. On current form, he's certainly given his manager something to think about. Lastly, Ajax boss John Heitinga saw his side undone early on when Kieran Tierney picked out Rio with a precision pass in behind their advanced backline, allowing the midfielder to square for Yang Hyun-jun to finish at the back post. In the early stages, Celtic's sharp movement caused problems for Ajax. Tierney's ball in behind exposed their high line, with Rio timing his run perfectly to set up Yang for a tidy finish. It showed the danger of pushing up too far against a side with that kind of precision. Heitinga pointed to the problems created by Celtic's controlled passing. Ajax's shape was tested as players rotated positions, leading to gaps and confusion. When Ajax lost the ball or pushed forward, they were left facing one-on-one situations across the pitch. The first half asked serious questions of Ajax's ability to defend under pressure. Celtic's use of width and fresh legs only increased the difficulty. As Ajax tried to push up again, they often left too much space behind, relying on individual defending instead of a solid team shape. Heitinga said this: "The line of possession to their striker, Adam Ida, was often open. When we pushed forward, we were often one-on-one defensively. Then you have to win all your personal battles. They had a lot of positional changes, and we struggled with that quite a bit in the first half. When we lost possession, we weren't always positioned well. That's the most important lesson from the first half," he concluded. Heitinga's comments focused on how Celtic found space through smart movement and quick forward play. It was a clear sign that playing a high line needs sharp organisation and focus, especially against a team that can pass through gaps with ease. It wasn't just a tactical issue. Celtic won too many individual battles, showing Ajax's problems when having to defend on the back foot. When they gave the ball away, they didn't have enough players in the right positions to deal with the danger. Celtic took full advantage in the first half, but the game flipped after the break. With Tierney off at half-time, Celtic lost their shape and discipline. Ajax punished them with 4 second-half goals, turning the match on its head and running out 5-1 winners. The final scoreline reflected a dramatic collapse. Without Tierney's composure and control on the left, Celtic's backline became stretched and disorganised, allowing Ajax to cut through far too easily. What are your thoughts on these? Let us know down in the comment section below. Make sure you've liked this video and subscribed to the channel for more Celtic content.